Greetings, vinyl community. I'm not sure what I'm going to title this video. I'm sure it's going to be... I try not to be too clickbaity, but, you know, you want people to watch your video and click on your video. But I guess whatever I'm going to call it, what I'm going to try to convey is that the finds haven't stopped. And it's been really good, oddly enough, for December. It's very unusual. It's the first December I can remember, at least in recent memory, and my mind isn't what it used to be, keep that in mind, where things haven't, I mean, things have slowed down a little bit, but it's more quality than quantity nowadays, and it just keeps on rolling and keeps on rolling, as you'll see coming up. But first of all, now I'm kind of curious what I'm going to title this video, something incredibly witty, I'm sure. But anyways, cheers everyone. We're just going to get right to this. There's some weird stuff that pop up, that's been popping up in the cheap stores. I think this is my third video in a row. Maybe fourth or fifth I've done bunny ears. And the odd thing is, outside of YouTube, I would never use those. I would assume I'd get my ass kicked in the real world. Anyways, when I say unusual, this is the first thing I'm going to show you here. And I've kind of posted this on Facebook because it's such an unreal find for a thrift store. But ready for this? This might be my screen cap, so excuse me while I pose. It's the Residents Eskimo. Anyways, there you go. It's this album 1979, yeah, and it was released on Ralph Records. Having done a little bit of research on the Residents, like really at a thrift store? Okay. The very, very first pressing in 1979 came out on white vinyl. It was very limited. The next pressing in 1979 was this very one on Ralph Records. I'm just going to show this off really quickly because it's such an amazing find. I've never seen a Residents album. But original inner. I'll see if I can be careful here. See, I'm not touching. Original Ralph Records Eskimo label. Anyways. Just to really, if I had to sum up why I kind of devote so much time to kind of doing this, these are the kind of finds that make me want to go out there and keep on looking. I mean, this is kind of insane to find that. Anyways, the Residents Eskimo, probably like, I wouldn't say my best find of the year. To some it might be, but my most unusual find of the year at a thrift store, by far. Anyways, I played it. It plays great. I haven't heard this album in years and years. Anyways, the Residents Eskimo. This is odd in the sense that I already have an existing copy, but I'm going to take, excuse me, I'm going to take these two copies and I'm going to kind of make a Franken album out of both these. And this is very weird. This is an original German pressing of the Who Tommy. And if you might remember, a lot of those, not just German, but a lot of those pressings on the double albums, they come flip-flop, so it's side 1, then side 4, and then the other two sides on the other album. So I guess from what I understand, they were made for record players that have automatic droppers. So anyway, it has the kind of, it doesn't run concurrent 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, etc. But really nice. And to be honest, I haven't Googled this, but I from what I remember from looking on Discogs, this might be an original Polydor German pressing of the Who Tommy. So I have another copy of this where I think the one album out of this one is better than one, and you guys know what I'm saying there. And then here's another odd find, is that an original Decca pressing of... This was the same store I went to, the same cheap store. They had 2 copies of Tommy. But this is a Decca one. And the cover on this one isn't great, but I have another copy in my collection of the Decca one where the cover is much nicer. But the vinyl on this one is much nicer. So as you can tell by what I said, it's a long way around to say that out of both of these, I'm going to kind of piece them all together and make one really nice copy of the Decca one and one nice copy of the German Polydor one. Anyways, as you can tell, we're already off to a good start. for December. I mean, you have to understand it's December. It's the although it hasn't been that cold here. Generally speaking, when I say the dead of winter, people aren't donating. And if you live in a warmer climate, I guess maybe donations keep on going. But where I live, people generally move in spring and summer. That's when people donate a lot of stuff as they're cleaning house, or they're doing their spring cleaning out their garages. Very, very unusual for December, January, February to yield anything of note. But anyways. All right. Cinderella Night Songs. Something I already have, but I'm not leaving that there. All right. Like I said, this whole pile is filled with, and I'm not trying to be a dick by saying, oh my God, this is like, but it really is. I mean, I'm impressed with the amount of stuff that's kind of out and around in the cheap stores. Okay, ready for this one? This one might be my screen cap too, because how the hell would you go to a cheap store or a thrift store and find a Misfits album? I did. Misfits Collection 2. For, you know, these things never really went out of print, so what pressing it is, it's kind of irrelevant to me. And when I tell you pressings, it's more kind of like an FYI, an informational thing for you. But I don't own a lot of Misfits, and I grew up listening to them, but seeking out their vinyl has not been a priority for me. But there's one there, and I have a secret about the Misfits, and I have a punk video coming up in which I will kind of disclose my guilty pleasure thing about the Misfits. How's that? No, that's clickbaity for another video coming up. Anyways, Misfits Collection 2. And of the first two collections they have, Collection 1, Collection 2, I would prefer this one personally. Anyways. Alright, another one of those finds, not quite on par with the Residents, but similar. Sparks Propaganda. And it's either a cutout or a promo copy by the notched cover there, or cut cover. But this is an original Canadian pressing, and it's on an Island label that I don't see a whole lot. As you can see, that Island label. Anyways, yes, I'm being very careful with my vinyl. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of, like I always say, I'm showing this album due respect by putting it away properly. But Sparks Propaganda. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You just never see Sparks, or maybe some of their later stuff, but you never see like early Sparks or Residents or the Misfits. It's just been, and this isn't one big haul. This is, you know, I'll go one day here and then one day there, and then, you know, it's just very very random and very arbitrary, just kind of where things are. Anyways, this one was very, very, very exciting, and it wasn't $1. Excuse me. It was $3, but still well worth the money for very, very early. I don't think it's either first or second pressing of this album of Bob Marley Exodus. I've never owned this album on vinyl. God knows I've had a ton of copies of the Legend Greatest Hits come in and out of my collection, but this is the original inner. Now that is kind of cool, and I'm gonna have to touch the vinyl here. Anyways, Blue Island label, and I'm not sure if the original was on a black island, but it's either. It's like I did look at it, but this was a couple weeks. It's the original embossed sleeve as well, which is also really cool. It is my favorite Bob Marley album. I know this is either I think it's a second pressing. In the year it came out. Anyways, I'm just talking a load of nonsense now, aren't I? Anyways, another example of this amazing Bob Marley Exodus. Another one of those finds. And like I feel like I'm gonna use the word dick again. I feel like a real dick showing you the prices, but this is just kind of like an example of just It pays to go out and look and dig, and it pays to put the time in. A lot of people ask me kind of privately, you know, how do you do all this? How do you get all these finds? And it's just you gotta be persistent and have a pattern, and you'll get things for $1.99 for Blood Rock. This is Blood Rock USA, as it was called here, and it's Blood Rock at Last, I believe it's called Blood Rock USA. Yeah. Anyways, one of the coolest covers. Anyways, this is an original kind of Capitol Records pressing. I'm trying to just to plow through this. This album was one of my proudest finds in the sense of kind of rock and roll history. This album is 61 years old, but the original pressing came out, I think, 64 years ago. It's considered to be the first rock and roll full-length release, and I think it was originally released in 1954, and I believe that was the original pressing, and then it was licensed out. This copy is the licensed out version, same cover. It was just licensed to a different label in Canada, so this is not this was licensed out a couple years after the original one came out. God, I'm freaking babbling, aren't I? But just to set things up here, for history's sake, it is considered the first rock and roll kind of full-length of songs collected from 1954 with Bill Haley and the Comets. Rock with Bill Haley and the Comets. The only thing wrong is there's a little rub mark here, but the record, I can't believe how well it plays for 61 years old. A couple pops, but other than that, it plays beautifully. And I've seen, over the years, I've seen maybe one or two of these, and they've always been beat to shit. This one is absolutely amazing. So, and it's a Somerset Records pressing. I think the original was on Essex Records. I'm kind of trying to recall here. Anyways, as far as rock and roll history goes, this is probably one of the things I've been most proud of finding and owning. And the fact that it plays so well is just amazing for that old. It's a whole lifetime ago, if you think about it, 61 years ago. And it was Bill Haley and the Comets, and it's all collected songs from 54, 55, and I think one of the best and kind of the biggest hits on this one is Crazy Man Crazy, I believe, and Rock the Joint. Anyways, I'm babbling now once again, but like I said, I'm very, very stoked to own this one. Couple finds from last Friday, and it doesn't really matter what day it is, as I always say, but this is an original pressing from France of a Canadian band with the original price sticker on it. I'm going to guess FR, you might know this if you're in Europe, FR was francs, I'm thinking, being a French pressing on it. It's an original French Decca Records pressing of the Poppy family, Which Way You Goin', Billy? And there is a cover variant of this one with Susan Jacks kind of in a full body pose, but I think the band's in the background too. But like I said, the original French copy, and there's the original price sticker. That was an amazing find. And I came across a record collection at a thrift store, and there was a lot of odd French and German imports. So I'm guessing someone moved to Canada, brought some records with them, and ended up donating them, or maybe they passed on, I'm not sure. But that's just an amazing find. Poppy Family and original Decca Records pressing from France. I find this album quite frequently in Canada, or where I live, but very, very, very seldomly are they in decent condition. People must have played the shit out of this one. Anyways, very, very awesome psychedelic tinged album by the Poppy Family, which was Susan Jackson, her husband then Terry Jacks, who, by the way, went on to do Seasons in the Sun. How's that? But I'm sure you knew this. Another just absolutely stunning find. And I will preface this by saying that I had to look on Discogs. I think only one copy had ever sold. And I don't know if there's any for sale. It's just rare. And it sold for about $87 Canadian. And like I said, I just haven't had time to peel all these stickers. But just for reference, it's $2. It's the first Willie Nelson album. An original UK pressing on Liberty. And plays amazing. And it's just one of those stunning finds that And it's a little bit meaningful to me because my dad was one of the biggest Willie Nelson fans you'll ever find. He owned everything Willie Nelson. But I don't think he ever owned this album. Not to my recollection anyways. But an original UK pressing of the very first Willie Nelson album. And to say it's rare is an understatement from what I have seen online. And talking to a few other people who are more knowledgeable on the country stuff. Anyways, and to find an original UK pressing with the fold over kind of tab covers there. Yeah, just stunning, stunning, stunning. This one has a ratchet cover. And it was in a lot of stuff I bought with some records coming up. And the names sound familiar. The album title led me to believe it was something going to be really kind of cool, maybe psych, weird. And the vinyl is really nice. It's an original Reprise Records pressing. The cover, as you'll see, is a little bit, yeah. I thought for $1, the vinyl's nice. I'll give it a try. It's a band called Pearls Before Swine, The Use of Ashes. And like I said, if the vinyl's nice, and I'm going to keep this album, I really don't give two craps what the cover looks like. I'm not going to have it on display to impress anyone. I don't like the album. And I try to be honest with you all. It just didn't grab me. This is one of those times where my gut failed me. Damn gut failed me. It didn't, yeah. I've seen people post this band before. And the band name and the album name kind of led me to believe it would be something spectacular. And it was kind of, eh. Anyways, awkward pause. This one is monumental for me as in, I mentioned this last video about girlfriends stealing your vinyl. I had a girlfriend steal this record of mine. And I do see it every now and again, but I don't know why people seem to want a little too much money for this album, but I'm a big fan of this comedian. I can go into hour-long dialogue about what the TV show The Young Ones means to me. The UK TV show from the early 80s. If you don't know what The Young Ones is, shame on you, but have a look on Google, that's what it's there for. But this gentleman appeared on The Young Ones, and I fell in love with him. His comedy, that is. Once you see his mug, you'll see why I could never fall in love with the guy. He was brilliant on that TV show, and I'm a huge fan of Alexei Sayle. And I found his album Panic. And like I said, at the time when this came out, it was kind of a rare find to find at the time, but I ended up seeking out a copy, having seen The Young Ones when I was very young, and I kind of went to my local import store, and they had a copy. And then I had a girlfriend who was, I don't know, took it. Shame on you. Anyways, you might know this one as it has the song. The video for this song got a lot of play in Canada, but Didn't You Kill My Brother? That was a video that got a lot of video play. Obviously, radio play. But anyways, Alexei Sayle, Panic. Very, very happy to get that one back in my collection. I'm going to have to cut this off at some time soon. I'm going to have to maybe censor myself a bit here, because there's some good stuff coming up, and I got to have enough for another video here. 2 bands, 4 albums, and they were not found together. They were separated by a week, and it's very odd. I found 2. You think someone would donate the same band? It was, anyways. These are 4 albums by 2 bands, all at different cheap stores. Vanilla Fudge, Rock and Roll. I've never owned this one. This was their last ever studio album of the original kind of incarnation of Vanilla Fudge. An original yellow Atco record label pressing. And then just today, I found a copy of Near the Beginning. The only copy I've ever had of this was a really, really bad kind of placeholder copy. They ended up kind of giving to someone. I don't know who I gave it to, but it wasn't the best condition copy. But I found this copy the other day. Or was it today? I don't know. Today. Let's just say today. I think it was today, actually. Anyways, Near the Beginning. You can tell I find too many records when I can't remember what goddamn day I'm finding things on. But I'm pretty sure this was today, actually. Near the Beginning. Another original yellow Atco Records label copy of this one. So now I have all the original Vanilla Fudge albums from the 60s and 1970. Another band, 2 albums, separated by almost a week, and totally different stores, and it's opposite ends of my city. But I got an original Canadian pressing of Uriah Heep's Sweet Freedom. And this has, just to save you time, it has that kind of odd flap over cover. If you open it, there's a kind of another hard insert and blah, 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 blah. And there's original bronze Warner Records pressing of Sweet Freedom. I've never owned this album, 1973. I'm feeling like I'm being scant with details, but I'm trying to... Anyways, and an original Mercury Records pressing of Uriah Heep. I do have a copy of this in my collection, but it's kind of the later Polygram or Mercury Records, the buildings label, the towers. You know what I'm talking about. This is an original kind of... there you go, one of those Mercury labels. Very happy. I'll keep this one, and the other one can kind of go in my goodbye pile, just to kind of pass along. This one I would never normally pick up. I've never picked up an album by this band, although I find them all the time. This one is in such nice condition. It's an original Columbia 2i pressing. And the only thing interesting about this album is that it has a cover that only appeared in Canada. So to that end, it kind of goes for a few dollars. Whether I keep it or I kind of flip it, I'm not sure because I haven't actually heard it. But it's Paul Revere and the Raiders featuring Mark Lindsay. Something's Happening. And like I said, this cover, as far as I can tell, only appeared in Canada, 1968. So to me, it's very unspectacular find. Maybe you might find this a little more interesting than I do. But like everything I do, I'll give it a spin. What am I at here? I'm going to try to speed this along now with a couple... yeah, let's just end it with this one. The World of John Mayall. We might be familiar with the World of series. It's just kind of... it was kind of like a budget, midline kind of compilation series. There was 100 of these ones, the World of. I think there was a World of David Bowie one I have. I have a World of Marmalade. And a few other ones anyways. This was the World of John Mayall. It's kind of like... it's a collection album. Whether it's a best of or not, it's debatable. It's not necessarily all their best hits. But anyways, the World of John Mayall. Really nice condition copy. I have a few John Mayall albums, but I'm not passing this one up for that, that price that I seem to pay for these albums. Anyways, we're going to end it there. That was a lot. I have another pile I'm looking at all around my record room over here. That's, I don't know if it's equally as impressive, but it's all relative. It might be to you. Yeah, so it's been really, really awesome. And I just know my luck is going to, run out here right away. It's going to dry up. As the holidays come along. Anyways, I got a couple videos coming up that isn't vinyl finds, and I hope you watch them all. One is, I think, Beastie Boys related, and there's a punk video coming up. So yeah, even though I'm going to be posting some videos that aren't vinyl finds per se, I hope you kind of maybe investigate those ones. It would mean a lot to me. Anyways, as you can tell, I still buy records. David Michael for the vinyl community, and I hope you all have a good rest of the week. Continue having a good holidays, and we'll see you next time.